So as Dean Baker mentioned, I did start a new job just on Monday. I have no idea who all of these people are that I work with now, but I'm figuring it out. But until Monday of just this week, my job was strategic advisor to the Dean of Harvard Medical School. I have been called the Dean's minion, his fixer, even his henchman. In reality, my role depended upon the day. Whatever came up that didn't fit in anywhere else, it was my job to help figure it out. I seemed pretty regularly to deal with the category that is always at the bottom of the form, the one that says other. Well, in a meeting in early February of 2020, I was part of a group connected via WebEx to colleagues in China. Zoom wasn't really even much of a thing yet at that time. And over the course of about an hour or so, they told us about a novel respiratory virus with some very unusual features. Though it shared aspects with SARS and MERS, both deadly coronaviral infections, this new condition had features that were unique and they were confusing. Our colleagues in China told us how their hospitals were drowning in cases and their systems of medical care were in crisis. They asked for our help in connecting them to medical experts who might assist with reading lung scans and interpreting other types of clinical and epidemiological data. They also told us that given what they had already seen about transmission rates, it would probably not take long for people around the world to be in their same boat. Well, our community began to organize very quickly. My boss and friend for going on 20 years, Dean George Daly of the Harvard Medical School, wasted no time in reaching out to leaders within the medical and research landscape across the state of Massachusetts. His goal was to bring people together to turn our research and clinical firepower against the burgeoning pandemic and to do it as rapidly as possible. What we formed is called the Massachusetts Consortium on Pathogen Readiness, or MassCPR. On March 2nd, 2020, we convened a room full of experts, an incredible who's who in research and medicine. Each was a world leader in some aspect of viral disease biology, infectious disease clinical care, vaccine and therapeutics development, immunology, epidemiology, the whole gamut. In fact, I'm going to share my screen for a second. Here's a nice view of the Connecticut River about this time of year here in Massachusetts. But if you can see that, I just want to point out a few of these people. So first of all, this is my boss, George Daly, the Dean of the Medical School. This is Arlene Sharp, who became one of the faculty co-directors of the MassCPR. She's chair of our immunology department. This is Bruce Walker, the director of the Reagan Institute at Harvard, who's our other faculty co-chair. Over here, this is my pal, David Golan. I'm going to tell you about him in a second. Another one of my pals, David Huang. I'm also going to tell you about him here in just a little bit. This is Steve Elledge, Lasker Award-winning geneticist. This is Pardis Sabeti of the Broad Institute, a world authority on Ebola virus and genetic epidemiology. Down here, this is my friend and colleague, Shu Yu, who at the Mass General Hospital rose to the occasion and got biobanks working together across the state to make clinical specimens available to researchers in record time. Back here, this is Galit Alter. I've only met her once in person, and it was on this day. And Galit has now contributed to nearly 50 papers in the last year and a half on COVID-19. Down here, this is Penny Heaton, who at that time was the CEO of the Bill and Melinda Gates Medical Research Institute. Just a few more of these. This is Ofer Levy at Boston Children's Hospital, who's a member of the FDA panel that approved all of the current vaccines. This is Paul Farmer, the chair of our Global Health and Social Medicine Department and one of the founders of Partners in Health. This is Dan Baruch at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center. He invented the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. This is Katie Stevenson from the Beth Israel, who ran the national clinical trial for that vaccine. Sandrea Carfy, one of the inventors of the Moderna vaccine, and Lindsay Baden, who ran the national clinical trial for that vaccine. That's just a few of the people in this room. Go back here. So this group self-organized into what they felt would be the 6 most important functional areas in the coming crisis: clinical management and outcomes, diagnostics, epidemiology, pathogenesis, therapeutics, and vaccines. What each of these working groups has accomplished in the last year and a half since we first gathered in March of 2020, it really blows my mind. Highlights produced from the work of the Mass CPR membership includes understanding basic viral pathogenesis in COVID, contributions to the National Clinical Treatment Guidelines, insights into viral variants in epidemiology, antibody therapies, rapid diagnostics. One of my favorite projects, the MacGyver-style mechanical respirator splitter that could be made using off-the-shelf things found in most intensive care units, and a host of authoritative and publicly accessible videos about scientific and medical care, as well as the J&J Moderna vaccines that I mentioned in their clinical trials. I've really never seen anything like this, especially in so short a period of time as what this group of people has accomplished. Now, on that day back in March, there was another group in the back of the room, those of us who sort of floated from table to table listening in. We were creating a mental blueprint for how we might organize what was developing within the room. Brilliant minds working in isolation can do brilliant things, but brilliant minds working together can do anything. The question was how to get people working together. As the dean says, when herding cats, it helps to have a good supply of cat food. Many organizations, large and small, had pledged funding if we could organize an effort around the most urgent and impactful areas of the pandemic. And we began to plan out a structure and process to match funding to investigators and projects as it came in on what was essentially a rolling basis. This was all overseen by my friend and colleague. I pointed him out in the photo, David Golan, the Minot Professor of Medicine and Dean for Research Operations and Global Programs here at Harvard Medical School. David had a great team of finance folks, grants and contracts people, and others waiting in the wings to get the funds flowing. David's right hand was also named David, David Huang. I pointed him out in the photo as one of my pals. David has a PhD in electrical engineering of all things, but he's a research administration genius. The three of us touched base several times during that first day, and we could begin to see how it might all come together. David's team could stand up a rapid grant-making process as long as we could organize equally rapid applications and reviews. It didn't take long to see that the team could benefit from having someone with insights into both university administration and how research actually happens in the lab in order to help out with strategy and hopefully identify and eliminate possible roadblocks along the way. Again, we didn't want to just get funding into the hands of investigators. We had to do it really, really fast. So I took a deep breath, probably the last one I've taken in 19 months. And I raised my hand to volunteer, no matter how that help might have been needed. I already had a more than full-time job, but I added the second one on top of it to become the executive director of the Mass CPR. Even as I volunteered, I had misgivings. I knew from the start that I was inadequate for the task. I wasn't a virologist or immunologist, though I knew enough about each to make me dangerous to myself and to others. I also had no idea how we could build an ultra-rapid grant-giving process entirely from scratch in a matter of a few weeks. That normally takes months to a year or more, especially considering that the scale we had in mind would be somewhere between 10 and $20 million in year one alone. However, I quickly realized that there was probably nobody else who knew how to do all of that either. I didn't need to be perfect. I just needed to begin. If someone starts, then other people join in. In a situation, if a given person can envision 10 to 20% of a possible solution, then a team of 5 to 10 people should be able to pull it off, right? You just need to begin. If we knew at the start how challenging things would be along the way, we might never do anything new and important. This applies to new jobs, taking a class, even falling in love, to be honest. to keep doing things that we have already mastered for the rest of our lives. It seems pretty safe, but it's boring. We grow by facing difficulties and by rising to the occasion, especially in an emergency. You just need to begin. If you wait to become involved until you're a CEO or department chair or a Fields Medal winner or a board certified surgeon before rising to the occasion of service, then not only do volunteer-based organizations suffer from a lack of assistance, but you yourself will miss out in ways that you may never know via the loss of opportunities, not encountering new people or ways of thinking, and failing to broaden your impact simply by choosing to stay in your lane. To broaden my point a bit more for tonight's activities, if you feel that you're ill-prepared to be a donor yourself, if you wait to share your good fortune, hold back from giving because you have too many irons in the fire, then believe me, I understand. I've been there myself for most of my life, including today in many ways. However, I will note that millions are made of thousands, thousands of hundreds, and so on. Every dollar is made of pennies. It all matters and contributes to making a difference in someone else's life as a donor. When I was a student at USU, I worked many part-time jobs. I washed lab glassware, sorted fish larvae away from gravel using tweezers, and they looked almost exactly the same. I was a cook in restaurants and I waited on tables. You can always tell who in a group has waited on tables because when the check comes, they round up instead of down when calculating the tip. Does that extra 50 cents or $1 make or break its giver? No. But if every customer did that, it would sure have a positive impact on their server. It adds up and it makes a difference. I love it when families come together, each member contributing something toward the whole in order to honor a loved one by forming a scholarship in that person's name. The scholarship also honors a deserving student, and in so doing, it connects people across the ages. I likewise love it when former students come together, each contributing something to honor an influential faculty member by funding an endowed professorship, which likewise honors two people, the faculty member for whom it's named and the faculty member to whom the endowed chair is awarded. Of course, if you're rolling in dough, we can always do more with more. And Lori Hennigan, who's on the call, would love to talk to you about some ideas that Dean Baker and President Cockett have in mind. If, however, your bank account is like most of ours, more modest, you can still be impactful. You just need to begin. The scholarship that allowed me to come to college at Utah State was from the Innes family in my hometown of Lehi, Utah. It was $400. Obviously, it wasn't enough for my entire education or even a year, even back then. However, I would never have been able to come to college at all if it wasn't for that gift of $400. It allowed me to begin, and I found my way from there. And to channel Mr. Rogers for a moment, I encourage you to just take a few seconds now to remember your own start, how you got to where you are, and who helped you to get there. I'm going to pause for just a few moments so you can do that. What or whose beginning would you like to be a part of? Maybe even someone you've yet to meet. If anyone or anything at all came to mind, I urge you enthusiastically to just begin. Small starts lead to bigger and better things as long as you manage to start it all. I'm grateful for the many beginnings in my life, including mine this week. I thank everyone for their time today. I send my best wishes to our scholarship recipients, to you and your families and friends as we continue to navigate this rough patch in the world together. Thank you for having me on the call.
We're now excited to hear from two of our scholarship recipients who will share their unique stories and how the support from donors is helping them achieve their dreams. First, our undergraduate speaker is McKenna Rich, who is a human biology major with a minor in chemistry and an emphasis in undergraduate research. McKenna has served as an undergraduate teaching fellow for both general biology and genetics courses with faculty mentor, Dr. Greg Podgorski. She's also part of USU's Connections program, in which she mentors incoming freshmen. An aspiring physician, McKenna is a native of the Salt Lake Valley. Please welcome McKenna Rich.
Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay? Yes, okay. So thank you so much for having me. Like she said, I'm McKenna, and I'm so honored to be speaking tonight. A little bit more of a background about me. I am a native Utahn. I was born and raised in the Salt Lake Valley, and I come from a family of very modest means. Both of my parents are in public service. My mom is a middle school teacher, and my dad works for the fire department as the captain of his station. Both of my parents were the first in their families to become college graduates, and from a very young age, they taught my brother and I the value of an education. But they never advocated for either of us to get an education as a way to land a good paying job or get a successful career. In fact, I know that if I were to graduate and choose to become a stay-at-home mom or open a yoga studio or anything else like that, they will still be just as proud of me as if I become a doctor. My parents taught me that the most important part of an education is to become a well-rounded individual, to find your passion, to gain a breadth of knowledge in subjects that you love, and even the ones that you don't love so much. So when I first came to tour Utah State, it only took about 20 minutes for me to know that this is where I wanted to complete my undergraduate degree. I really just fell in love with the beauty of campus and how nice everyone was. I knew this is where I was supposed to be and where I belonged. As I'm entering my fourth and final year, I can confidently tell you all that I certainly wasn't wrong. And without a doubt, everything that I've gone through as an Aggie these last 3 years, I wouldn't change for the world, even the pandemic. As an Aggie, I've gotten to accomplish and work toward goals that I've always had, and I've set new ones that I never knew I had. I've always had big hopes and dreams in life, and I know I'm fully capable of achieving them. But as an aspiring physician, when I started as a freshman, I was pretty lost. No one in my family has been to medical school or any graduate school for that matter. But I was able to fall right at home in the College of Science as a human biology student. During my first year, I became a mentee in the pre-med program and was so incredibly grateful for my first mentor. He really showed me the ropes and even where the best study spots were. A few years later, I've gotten the opportunity to become a mentor in the same program. And I just really hope that I can make the difference in my mentees' lives that my first mentor did for me. I gained another mentor last year when I took a position as a UTF for Dr. Podgorski. And I couldn't have done too bad of a job because here we are 3 semesters later, still working together in genetics. I have gotten the opportunity to learn way more than I ever thought I would know about canid brains and pair bonding, working as an undergraduate researcher for Dr. Sarah Freeman. I have worked with radioactive isotopes. I've learned all about the research process from the inside. I have even developed a passion for neurohormones, which are pretty dang cool. I have been able to display posters at not just 1, but 3 undergraduate research fairs. And I even got to present on the research I've been a part of involving the pharmacological characterization of oxytocin receptor antagonists. Try to say that 5 times fast. I am currently finishing up my 2nd year as a Connections peer mentor, and it's a position that's very near and dear to my heart. I love being able to watch as my class of incoming students begins their journey as an Aggie and learns to fall in love with Utah State just like I did. One of the reasons I fell in love with Utah State was for the community that we have here. Like I said, when I first came here, everyone was so nice to me. They smiled at me, they waved at me, asked me how my day was, and it just really embodied the Aggie family that we're all a part of. Now, this Aggie family is one that even extends beyond the walls of the buildings we study in. It's a family that smiles to one another, supports, and cheers each other on. And I'm so honored to be a part of this Aggie family. I find it really important that we give back to our community. Being a member of the NSCS and the NSLS, I have learned how to better improve myself and how to become a better leader in and for our community. I am a proud member of the Pre-Med Club Service Committee, which helps give back to our community as well. Pre-COVID, I also enjoyed many hours as a hospice volunteer, visiting and learning about the lives of others. I even got to hear a lot of stories about Utah State back in the day. I have worked extremely hard in my years here and am proud to have standing on the Dean's List, as well as not one, but 2 consecutive APEN awards. I hope to continue on this track and graduate with honors. I know that everything I have learned and everything I have been a part of, both academically and non-academically here at Utah State, will help to prepare me for my future. After graduating, I plan on continuing my education by applying to medical school. The scholarship that I have been given will not only help me to get to where I want to be through financial means, but through personal means as well. It's no joke, education is expensive in terms of money, and it really costs a lot of that. But education is also expensive in other ways as well. Education costs a lot of time, it costs a lot of effort, and it costs a lot of dedication. I strongly believe that while education costs a lot, it can also give you so much more than just a piece of paper with your name on it. Education can give you a whole world of opportunities if you let it. It can give you experiences. It can give you friends to enjoy those experiences with. It can help you grow, and it can help you become more independent. It can give you a chance to learn about yourself as a person and even to have fun along the way. Utah State has so much to offer academically and non-academically. Coming from a family of my demographic background, scholarship or not, I would still be here to complete my degree. But given this scholarship greatly changes the quality of my education. Scholarships like the one that I have been so grateful to receive help students like myself stress less. We get to outside of school, we volunteering and giving back to our Aggie family and our local communities. We are allowed to enjoy every single thing that Utah State has to offer about being a student. We get to be a part of clubs. We get to go to football games, take time napping in the TSC, sledding down Old Main Hill in the winter, and staying up way too late to become true Aggies, as well as eating way too much ice cream at Angie's. Being awarded this scholarship allows me to not just be a College of Science student in the lab, looking at microscope slides, performing calculations, and testing hypotheses 24/7. While I do love every single part of what encompasses being a College of Science student, it's also not the entire picture. This scholarship that I have received allows me to be McKenna, a College of Science student who also has hobbies and interests, both within and outside the walls of the biology buildings. I get to interact with students of other disciplines, and I get to challenge myself to learn new things, to take courses that I otherwise wouldn't be interested in. Being awarded this scholarship helps me to make the most out of my education. Throughout my years here, I have grown as a person and as a student. I have made what I hope to be lifelong friendships. I have faced many challenges, picked up a few new hobbies, and even learned where the sagebrush grows. I am forever grateful for the opportunity this scholarship has given me to enjoy all that my final year as an Aggie has to offer. I want to personally thank all of the donors who have generously given to students like myself, helped us to achieve our dreams and to make the most out of our educations. I hope one day to follow in your footsteps and become a donor myself, helping the future generation of Aggies. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, McKenna. That was such a great story, and I really appreciate that you shared your experiences and insights with us. And we wish you best of luck in your last year as an Aggie, and very best of luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Thanks. Our graduate student speaker this evening is Morgan Christman, a fifth-year doctoral candidate of ecology in the Department of Biology. Morgan, or Mo as she is known, is studying the effects of urbanization and climate change on bumblebee communities and agricultural systems. Upon completion of her degree in spring 2022, Mo plans to work for a conservation nonprofit organization as a lead scientist. Please join me in welcoming Mo Christman as she shares her insights with us.
Hi, so as Michelle said, my name is Mo. First, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Dr. and Mrs. Cloud Zobel for making the College of Science Cloud E. Zobel Graduate Scholarship possible. I was delighted to learn of my selection for this award and am deeply appreciative of your generous support. The College of Science Cloud E. Zobel Graduate Scholarship has lightened my financial burden, which allows me to focus more on the most important aspect of school learning. Growing up, I was always taught to cherish my education because it is the most important gift you can receive in your lifetime. It has the ability to inspire, motivate, and advance the world. I am grateful to have the opportunity to learn from wonderful professors, mentors, advisors, and friends at Utah State University that actively support and respect me. As a fifth-year ecology PhD candidate in the biology department and a National Science Foundation climate adaptation science trainee, I've had the opportunity to develop myself as a scientist with diverse interdisciplinary research as I research the impacts of urbanization and climate change on bumblebee communities and agricultural systems. During this time, I have had the opportunity to enhance my technical skills as an ecologist, programmer, and science communicator, as well as develop a stronger knowledge base of conservation and management practices and establish lasting professional relationships across the United States. Thanks to you, I am one step closer to fulfilling my goal of working for a conservation nonprofit or government organization as a lead scientist. In addition to my academic research that I do at Utah State, I'm also actively involved in the Society for Advancement of Chicanos and Native Americans in Science and the Entomology Club. Within these organizations, I have the opportunity to directly give back to the Utah State University campus, local and national communities, and my professional field by promoting diversity and inclusivity in science, advocating for fellow graduate students, and teaching younger generations the wonders of science. Additionally, I have mentored 12 undergraduate research technicians in a laboratory setting during my graduate education. This has probably been one of my favorite parts of graduate school because I've been able to actively work with these students and spark interest in research and academia, as well as to provide each student professional, educational, and personal support as they progress through their academic careers. So on behalf of all scholarship recipients, I would like to thank all of our generous College of Science donors who make each scholarship possible. Without you, we wouldn't be here. Or at least we would be, but less comfortably. Your philanthropic investments are greatly appreciated and do not go unnoticed. I hope one day I will be able to help students achieve their goals just as you have helped me achieve mine. Many thanks for this opportunity.
Thanks so much, Mo, for your wonderful talk, and best of luck as you navigate your last year in graduate school. I'm looking forward to hearing about your dissertation when you defend it in the spring.